Ultra running shoes are all about space. The space to go further, to feel better, to do something you never thought possible. And this space starts with Ultra Fit. Unlike traditional running shoes, Ultra Fit gives toes more room to move naturally, so every step is strong, balanced, and comfortable. Whatever you're lacing up for, stay out there with Ultra. Shop now at ultrarunning.com. That's ALTRA running.com.
When kids hear from parents over and over and over again, what could go wrong, about danger, the world is a dangerous place, those kids do not learn how to assess reasonable risk. They have heard their parents' constant chatter about how the world is a dangerous place, and they don't really have any space to explore or figure things out.
Welcome to Season 8 of Flusterclux with Lynn Lyons, where we talk about managing worry, anxiety, and all the other emotions too.
I'm Lynn Lyons. I'm an anxiety expert, author, speaker, and mom. I've been a therapist for 35 years, and I'm still in the trenches with families, helping them navigate daily struggles and big problems. Parenting can be a flusterclux, but we tackle the serious stuff without being too serious.
I'm Robin. I'm Lynn's sister-in-law and co-host, and I'm here to ask your questions.
And I'm Ed, the producer of Flusterclux.
And my brother.
And my husband.
Anxiety is a family problem with a family solution. Hey, everybody. So this is a first. I don't have a co-host today. It's just me. My usual co-hosts are traveling. And so I'm just going to do this by myself, which I'm fully capable of doing. But of course, I will miss Robin. I will miss Ed. I will miss somebody else to talk to, as I just talked to myself. But here we go. Hi, everybody. And you can all say, hi, Lynn. I know you're out there listening. A few things before I dive into the topic for today. I want to let you know about 2 workshops that are coming up, 2 events. One is a webinar with my colleague, Mindy Zellup, who you've heard on the podcast before. She is really, really great with anxiety and tummy issues and functional GI disorders, sometimes called functional abdominal pain. Why do anxious kids have tummy aches? They go and try and get help for their tummy aches. They're anxious. The tummy aches show up at bedtime. They show up before school. What do we do about that? So Mindy and I are doing a webinar. It's 3 hours, but you've got 2 dates to choose from. You can either join us on Wednesday, September 30th. That's an evening, or you can join us on Friday, October 9th, the afternoonish. Mindy's on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. You can go on my website, lynnlyons.com. There's a registration there. I'm also posting it on Instagram, on my Facebook page. If you need any help, just email me. But that is for tummy troubles. And then clinicians, for those of you that are listening, this is because a lot of people have asked me about this. I am doing a 3-day in-person masterclass in October 21, 22, 23, in person, up here in New Hampshire. Beautiful time in New Hampshire. We're going to be talking about anxiety, and we're also really going to dive into how I use hypnotic processes in my work and how you can use it in your work too. People have been asking me to do this for a really long time, so I'm doing it. On my website again, lynnlyons.com, you can check into that. Putting it up on Instagram. It'll be on my Facebook page. If you have any questions about it, email me. All right, so 2 fun things coming up for you to learn. All right, what are we going to talk about today, everybody? Well, usually I'm out in the world and I'm having experiences and I'm thinking about topics. So let me just tell you what happened to me when I was coming back from our family vacation, which I went with my sons, my daughter-in-law, because now I have an official daughter-in-law, and my other son's girlfriend. The 6 of us went, and we ran into a little trouble flying out of Wyoming because there was weather, and then actually there was an emergency at the Chicago airport, which we found out, and that delayed our leaving because we were heading into Chicago. I guess a plane landed and the wheels blew up or something like that. So they had closed down arrivals for a little while. In the meantime, our crew timed out, which there are rules about airline crews that after they are waiting for a certain period of time, they can't exceed a certain amount of hours working. Seems reasonable. And so we needed to have a new crew fly in to get us to Chicago. Now, the end of the story is that we got there and it took a long time and we had to spend a night sleeping in the O'Hare airport, but we all did fine. And were we tired? Yes. Was it frustrating? Yes. But these are things that happen in life and we have to be able to manage our frustration. What I witnessed from people in the airport in Wyoming when we were delayed several hours, it meant inconvenience for everybody. What I witnessed was pretty remarkable. I witnessed parents having to travel with babies and toddlers who handled the situation clearly with some distress. I saw one mom crying because she had a little tiny baby and then like a 2-year-old. But the way that some people felt it appropriate to get the help that they needed was rather astounding. So we've all seen those Karen videos where people are demanding. One woman who was there with her husband and her 3 sons was such an incredible bitch that they ultimately called security and told her she needed to get her act together or she was going to be escorted from the airport. There was another woman standing next to me. I was just merely in line to get our meal vouchers. They would give you $12 to eat while we were waiting. She was so demanding and so awful to the poor guy at the counter who had been in the airport with us. I mean, his shift must be a 12-hour shift because this guy didn't leave. He was probably in his early 30s. Very friendly, handling multiple problems at the same time. And she was so awful to him. Finally, I couldn't help myself, everybody. I said to her, hey, this guy has been standing here managing this situation that he had nothing to do with, by the way. He has been helping everybody for at least 2 hours. He's been standing here without a break, trying to solve our problems. And you are just berating him in a way which I don't understand. And she turned to me and she said, well, that's just the way I talk when I get frustrated. And I said to her, well, I think that's something you need to work on. The poor guy ended up having to go, he got on his walkie-talkie and was like, can someone come relieve me for 5 minutes because I need a break? It looked like he was close to tears. There was nothing he could do to change the situation, but he had been working to help everybody for hours. It was just appalling. Then we get on the plane and she's in the window seat. Her husband's in the aisle seat. And guess who's assigned the middle seat? Lynn Lyons. So luckily, a lot of people had changed their flights and there were some empty seats. So I saw that it was her and I quickly was able to just grab another seat. The reason I am telling you this is because a skill that I think is so important for us to model for our kids, of course, and to help our kids is how you actually go about getting help when you need help. And I'm not talking about you fell down and broke your ankle. I'm talking about there's a situation that's frustrating. You need some more information. We've all been on the phone with the cable guy. I was on the phone with the IRS trying to resolve a weird thing that happened with our tax return. I was on the phone on hold for an hour and 49 minutes. And then when the woman came on the phone, it was not in my best interest to be awful to her. It was not in my best interest to berate her. And also, she didn't cause the problem. And she's just doing her job. So how we ask for help, particularly when we're frustrated, when we're angry, when we're anxious, when we're feeling desperate, when we're tired, when we're hungry, all of those things are skills that we develop. And of course, I have to wonder, watching this mom with her 3 sons, her husband was there too, the one who they called security on, watching her have an absolute temper tantrum in front of her children, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder what kind of partners they're going to grow up to be. I wonder how they're going to model or reject this way of moving through the world. So that's what I want to talk about today, how we teach our kids to get help and how we help our kids. I'm going to start off by just reading a little quote from Fred Rogers. You know how much I love Fred Rogers. Somebody gave me this lovely book. Sarah, thank you if you're listening, for this lovely book just full of Mr. Rogers quotes. Here's a quote that he wrote about help. All of us at some time or other need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver. Perfect. We're all going to need help, and we're all going to be in the position to offer help. How do we do that, and how do we model that for our kids, even when we're frustrated, angry, anxious, tired, hungry, pissed off, whatever? I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and talk about it. When my boys, who are now men, were teenagers, there just really wasn't any good way to sort of track what they were spending. And there also weren't so many opportunities to spend money. They didn't have access to so many places where dollars could just disappear. And I know it's harder now as you're trying to manage the spending of your family and of your teenagers. For all the parents out there with teenagers, we know you're already trying to keep a million different things under control. Cash App is here to help make sure your teens' money and their spending isn't adding to that craziness. With a Cash App card, it's available to teens 13 to 17 with sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian. Every transaction triggers a real-time notification for you to see, empowering your teen to practice independence while giving you some peace of mind to keep track of their spending. New Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign-up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Visa debit flex cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, and the Bancorp Bank, N.A., pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated. See terms and conditions for the Sutton prepaid card, Sutton debit flex card, and Bancorp debit flex card. Savings provided by Cash App, a Block Incorporated brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. When it comes to money and finances, I'll admit I had some good training. I had parents who really taught me the value of money and really taught me how to pay attention to my finances. So I have a good base, but I'll tell you, it's still really helpful to have tools that keep track of where your money is going. Monarch helps you pay attention to your spending. It catches those things that maybe you lose track of. For example, I am in the middle of planning and helping pay for a wedding for my son, and there are expenses. There are things that I need to pay attention to. I was spending way too much on streaming services. I'll just tell you that right now. And I've been able to really rein in those dollars that just go out the door. I've never been one to spend a lot of money on coffee, but right, you can get yourself caught up in those patterns. Monarch is an app that really shows you what you've already spent. You can even ask Monarch's AI assistant anything about your finances, like how much did I spend on travel last summer? We're planning a big trip. I need to pay attention to these things, and Monarch has helped me keep track. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code FLUSTER at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FLUSTER. When I was pregnant, and that was a long time ago, there would be sort of rumors or information, or you'd read here and there about things you weren't supposed to have, food you weren't supposed to eat, ingredients that weren't good for you when you were pregnant, but there was really no way to check. There was really nothing consistent. Well, now there's Safe Mom. It's an ingredient checker app made for expecting moms and their partners. You can scan everyday products like cosmetics, skincare, sunscreen, and of course food. Ingredient labels are confusing and hard to understand. And looking up ingredients one by one, that takes a lot of time and it's pretty overwhelming. Safe Mom gives you quick, clear answers without the guesswork, and it saves a ton of time. You open the app, you scan a barcode or take a picture, and you get results in seconds. You can scan products from a list of over 100 pregnancy-safe products. It's already trusted by thousands of moms around the world. If I had this when I was pregnant, oh my gosh, it would have been so much easier. Take advantage of the ease, the convenience, and the security that this will give you as you're figuring out what to use and what not to use. Download Safe Mom on the App Store for free. Start scanning risk-free for 7 days when you download today. Try it at home or at the store. That's Safe Mom. Okay, we're back. How do we get help? How do we offer help? How do we handle our big feelings that usually show up when we need help? Because those two things often come hand in hand. Here's a line that I think is really helpful to talk to your kids directly about, to say directly to them. So you need help. Your child needs help. They're frustrated. They're anxious. They're confused. We've all been there. We're looking for directions. Our computer isn't working. We're trying to solve our math problem on our homework. If you can just consistently give them this template, and again, this is about repetition. This is about starting early and showing them over and over and over again, I am blank. I am frustrated, angry, confused, lost, hurt, whatever, and I need help. If you can just teach your kids to use that phrase, it immediately brings people in to assist them. Because very often we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're trying to figure out why our child is being so pissy with their siblings. Maybe they've thrown their homework on the floor. Maybe you're asking them, hey, have you finished your homework, or have you unloaded the dishwasher, or have you figured out where you need to go for your practice on Monday? And we get this response back from them that doesn't really seem to match the question that we're asking. We're just asking for information. So we are asking for information. They need help. If you can begin to teach your kids to be able to recognize that they need something and it's okay to ask for it, you are really giving them a leg up. So I am blank. I'm confused about my math homework. I'm sad about this. I'm frustrated. I'm whatever, and I need help. Immediately, that brings the helpers in. Immediately, they have made a request for something, and there's going to be somebody willing to offer that help. Now, when you are offering help to your kids, even when they're frustrated, even when they're anxious, even if you've got a kid who has some executive functioning issues, so you're helping them develop the skill of being able to do more things on their own, sometimes our tendency, particularly if our kids are being pissy, or if we need to get something done, or like, here we go again, the math homework. The tendency for parents is to jump in and take over, or to be pissy back, or to very quickly say, hey, I don't need you to talk to me that way, which is totally fine. Tone, though, is really important. But what I want you to think about is how important your presence is when they need help, rather than your immediate response or action. So your child is struggling with something. Let's take something like learning how to ride a bike, or trying to figure out a complicated math problem, or figuring out how to apply for a job. Something that is a multi-step process. Maybe they've never done it before. It is so, so helpful. And this is helpful from adults to other adults too. It is so, so helpful for you to just say, in a tone that is vanilla ice cream with a little bit of warmth. So vanilla ice cream with a little bit of warm hot fudge sauce on it. For you to say, I can see that you're having a tough time now. What would be most helpful to you? Now, if they say, it would be helpful if you did it for me. Or if they say, what would be helpful is if I didn't have to do this stupid math homework. Or what would be helpful if you didn't make me get a stupid job? They can come back with that. That's okay. They're going to say that. You say, what would be most helpful to you? Now, maybe they'll say, it would be helpful if you explain to me, blah, blah, blah. It would be helpful to me if you would go through this job application with me. Let them learn how to ask for help without you diving in and doing the task for them. The other thing that you can say when they're frustrated and maybe they're throwing their pencil or they're refusing to do something or whatever, you can say, I think you can solve this problem. I really do think you can solve this problem. So I'm going to be right here if you need me along the way. And you say it with warmth. I will tell you, study after study after study after study, research for decades has shown that parents who show warmth to their kids in their tone, in their actions, in their affection, really can do better when it comes to setting limits. We know that combination of being authoritative, so here's the rule, here's the expectation, combined with warmth is the most successful. Warmth without any limits or boundaries or expectations doesn't really go very far. We create kids who expect everybody's going to be nice to them and they're going to get whatever they want. And authority without any warmth also is not the best, because then you're just feeling controlled as a kid and you're not getting any of the good stuff in the connection. We want kids to feel loved and appreciated. We want them to know how much we think they're fabulous. We don't have to tell them every day they're fabulous, but warmth is the way to go. So when your child is struggling with something, when your child comes home and needs help, number one, I want them to be able to ask for it. That's a skill that develops over time. If they can't do it, you can say, it looks like you're struggling. Is there something that I can help you with? Or, I think you can solve this problem, but I'm going to be right here if you need me along the way. Sometimes kids come home from school. We're at the beginning of the school year here. They've had a problem with a peer. They've had a problem with a teacher. They've had a problem with a schedule. There's something that's frustrating them. Imagine in the airport if that woman had said to the young man who was trying to help us all, here's the question that I have. I haven't been able to get an answer yet. Is there a way that you can get an answer for me? And she did have a question, and we were all waiting for the answer. And he actually was trying to get the answer. Her question was, how far away is the crew that was coming in that was going to be able to fly our plane to Chicago? That's not how she asked the question. That's not how she approached it. She started asking the question in a very rude, demanding, aggressive way. I can't believe that you can't give us this information. And he said, I can give you the information, but I'm just trying to finish up this family's meal vouchers because they're hungry, and then I'll get right back to you. That was not satisfying to her. Being aware of the fact that you model for your kids how you get information and how you get help, how demanding you are, you model that for them. And then you also need to be aware of the fact that you have to give them language, you have to give them training, and you have to step back and let them figure things out. Having you there is very often enough. Having you in the background. Say you have a child who struggles with homework and you have been in the practice of sitting down, and you start off by saying, I'm just going to sit down and help you with the homework. Many times you end up doing most of it. Why? Because you're tired and you don't want to sit there and do 5th grade math. But you start doing it for them. One of the things I tell parents to do is to say to kids who are working on their homework or working on a project, trying to solve a problem, I have confidence that you can solve this problem. You're going to sit here and do your homework. I'm within earshot. So if you need me for something, call me back and I'll come help. I'll be around. I'm here to help when you need me. That still creates independence, and it gives them the sense that they are capable of handling it without you right there. So think about those things, how we ask for help. The other thing I want to talk about is safety chatter, how we help our kids, how we give them instructions. I'm going to take a little break and then I'll come back and talk about safety chatter. The things that I've been thinking about are directly related to an Instagram post I posted, a few weeks ago now, probably a few months ago when you're listening to this. But the responses to this video that I made, this Instagram post that I made, it kind of went viral. Like 200,000 people have looked at it so far. But the comments were really interesting. And so that made me want to respond to that as well. So I'll be right back. It is summer. You are outdoors. I am outdoors. The sun is on my skin. I want my skin to look great. And I also don't want to have a lot of heavy, sticky, yucky, overly fragrant products on my body. And I will tell you, the thing that I am loving right now is Osea's Hyaluronic Body Serum. This stuff, I use it every time I take a shower. I put it on my skin. It immediately absorbs. It doesn't feel sticky. It smells lovely, not overly fragrant. It is making a difference in the way my skin looks, in the way my skin feels. They use ingredients that rescue dry skin with instantly smooth and a supple feel. It refreshes my summer stressed skin. It's going to refresh your summer stressed skin. I use it every single day. Osea uses products that are clinically tested for results you can see. Osea's hyaluronic body serum is multi-layer, hyaluronic-powered hydration for the entire body. And right now, we have a special discount just for you. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FLUSTER at OseaMalibu.com. That's code FLUSTER at OSEAMalibu.com. At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. I remember my kids when they were little going to birthday parties there, and we took a family trip one weekend. It was so much fun. The kids were so busy. If you've got kids, you can let them go on the water slides. They can splash away in the indoor water park. It's always 84 degrees. There's a wave pool, a lazy river, and a bunch of massive water slides, including ones your family can all enjoy together. It's just fun. It's active. They'll be happily exhausted at the end of the day. Isn't that the sign of a great family outing, is that everybody's happily worn out at the end of the day? They even have adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. With 22 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. That's greatwolf.com.
Ultra running shoes are all about space. The space to go further, to feel better, to do something you never thought possible. And this space starts with Ultra Fit. Unlike traditional running shoes, Ultra Fit gives toes more room to move naturally, so every step is strong, balanced, and comfortable. Whatever you're lacing up for, stay out there with Ultra. Shop now at ultrarunning.com. That's ALTRA running.com.
Okay, so now back to the show. Okay, so this is in the category of how you help your children, how you offer help to your children. And the post that I made, if you haven't seen it, was that I said, this is what safety chatter is. And I define safety chatter as a consistent narrative of danger that just comes out of your mouth. So it's the constant chatter. That's why it's not called safety instruction. It's called safety chatter. Be careful, watch out, that's dangerous. What we know that when kids hear from parents over and over and over again about what could go wrong, about danger, the world is a dangerous place, those kids do not learn how to assess reasonable risk. They have heard their parents' constant chatter about how the world is a dangerous place. And they don't really have any space to explore or figure things out. So you are preemptively trying to make sure that nothing bad happens. You are preemptively trying to help them avoid any risky situations. So when I posted that, many people said, oh my gosh, I do this. You're right. I'm really paying attention to it. Thank you for giving me that language. Safety chatter is a great term that I can use. And a lot of people sincerely said, I do that. I recognize that in myself, or that was how I was raised. How can I interrupt the pattern? I made a second video talking about what to do differently. You can look at that on Instagram too. But a fair amount of the commenters said, well, you know what? The world is a dangerous place. If I don't give my child constant information, constant warnings, if I am not on them all the time, that they're going to get hurt, I can't afford to end up in the emergency room. The world is a dangerous place. People got into pedophiles, blah, 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 blah. Here's the distinction that I tried to make in the video that I want to make again. Constant anxious language that doesn't promote the assessment of risk or the building of skills makes kids more anxious. Now, what I have to accept, which is difficult for me to accept, but I work on it, is that there are some really anxious parents. They don't want their kids to be anxious, but they feel like their own anxiety keeps them safe. And so they do not have a problem passing that on to their kids. They feel like their hypervigilance, their catastrophic thinking, their worry is what protects them and protects their family. I don't think I'm going to make any progress with those people because I talk very clearly about the differentiation between constant safety chatter and, of course, the need to give your kids safety information. but those people aren't capable of discriminating. They're not capable of differentiating. But for those of you that are, and I know that you are, I just want you to pay attention to how you help your child or how you give your child that safety information. Because it is your tone, it is the consistency, it is your elevated stress and worry that they pick up on. I would imagine that if you are teaching your child how to ride a bike, that can make us all feel a little anxious because guess what? There's a very good chance that they're going to fall off the bike and maybe they'll skin their knee. I've said it. My son fell off his bike and broke his arm. I mean, there's controversy. One time he was eating a bagel and another time a stick went into his spokes. But it is scary to let our kids out into the world and to do these new activities where they could get physically injured. It is scary to let our kids step into situations where relationally they could get hurt, where they could be rejected. All of that is scary. So it's not like I don't want you to be there to support your kids, but I want you to pay attention. Riding a bike, kid could fall, skin his knee, get a bump, get a bruise, could break his arm, could happen. When you say to a child over and over and over again, riding a bike is dangerous, riding a bike is dangerous, riding a bike is dangerous. You could fall off that bike, you could fall off that bike, you could fall off that bike. My cousin Tony knocked out his front teeth when he was learning how to ride a bike. When you give that constant safety chatter, that is not help. It is not giving kids permission to take a reasonable risk, and it is telling them that risk is not worth it. I want kids to know that there are certain things that are too risky, certain things that are stupid. I just saw recently some kid jumped off a 60-foot big boulder into a swimming hole and he got a concussion. That was a bad idea. But I do want kids to know that you can learn things. You can put yourself out there socially. You can develop your social skills. You can get hurt along the way. You can try a new activity. It might not be great. You can play softball and get hit in the mouth with the ball like I did with my braces. A lot of things can happen that are manageable. When you are helping your child, I want you to recognize that your tone, your repetition, and whether or not you are conveying your own fear and catastrophic outcomes is very different than saying, hey, we're going to learn how to ride this bike. Here are the rules. You're going to keep your helmet on and you're going to buckle the helmet. How often do you see teenagers and tweens riding their bikes with their helmets unbuckled? Oh my God, that drives me crazy. You're going to buckle your helmet. We're going to talk about the rules of the road. There are certain places that you're not going to be able to ride your bike. You always get off the bike as you cross the street. That's teaching skills. That's teaching awareness of what's around you. And it also just really helps to talk to your kids about how to ask for help if they run into trouble when they're riding their bike to school. That's what my son did. He fell off his bike. He was hurt. His buddies went to a neighbor's house that they knew. They knocked on the door. There was another mom there, came out, helped him. I didn't even hear about it, actually. He just went to school. Pretty good. So how you equip your kids to step into new things that are challenging without over-catastrophizing, how you keep your presence known, your warmth, your support, your encouragement, a little injection of confidence without stepping in and doing it for them, and how you tolerate that they're going to probably screw up, get frustrated, maybe get their hearts broken, maybe fail something, how you tolerate that with warmth and support, but not stepping in to do it for them. You are going to teach them how to ask for help. I'm doing blank and I need some help. And you are absolutely going to emphasize for them that when they are asking for help from people with something that is frustrating, difficult, confusing, angering, the way you treat the person on the other end of the ask is a critical skill. I have seen, and you have seen, I know you have seen it. You have seen people be so rude and so intolerant of those that are trying to help. In the service industry, at a doctor's office, on an airplane, we've all seen it. Kids see it. You can point it out to kids if you see it. If my kids were little, of course I was pointing it out to my older kids. My kids are in their 20s. I was like, geez, check out the Karen activity going on over there. If you're at a restaurant and you notice that somebody is berating a service person or they're being awful, you can say to your kids, do you see that that person is trying to ask for help? And do you see how they're treating that other person that they want help from? And you can set that standard in your house. Asking for help and receiving help are two really, really important skills. And as wonderful Fred Rogers pointed out, both of those situations come up very frequently in life. We are both the offerers of help and hopefully the receivers of help. It is really something that you can concretely talk to your kids about. You don't have to sit down and have a big meeting about it, but modeling matters. It happens all the time. There's this great video that I saw on Instagram. I grew up with horses. My sister and I had horses. My sister is still an amazing equestrian. I don't ride anymore. But it was two little girls. I like to think that they were sisters, but maybe they weren't. One girl was helping the other girl get on the horse. There's this thing called a leg up, which is where that expression comes from. You know, sometimes we need a leg up. The person bends their knee and you support their shin basically, and you sort of lift them up and then they go up in the air and they swing their leg over. These two little kids were doing it together. It's how we got on our horse when we were little. It's how we helped each other get on our horses, and even adults do it to each other. The idea that you can be there to give a leg up, that you can receive a leg up, is a really, really important thing for our kids to understand. Being kind and being a kind helper and also being a really kind recipient of help, which I don't think we think about very often, is something that I think is just so important. I hope the school year is going off okay for you. I always say resist the inclination to go in hot if something is going wrong in school. If you can have conversations, but I tell you, I work with a lot of schools. They know the parents that come in hot and they're less likely to help them. So pay attention to that. Remember those two events I told you about. We've got the functional GI disorders, Mindy and I doing that. And then I have my 3-day masterclass for you clinicians. It's going to be a small group. It's going to be totally fun. We're going to have a great time. Okay, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. How'd I do? First solo trip? Lynn Lyons can talk for a really long time. That is not a problem. But this is the first time that I've talked without somebody asking me. Robin asks me great questions. I love our relationship. I love our interaction. So I hope it was okay just listening to me. And I hope you're listening to Quarter Life with my son Brackett. He's adorable. That's been super, super fun. And we're going to keep those episodes coming as well. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this information.
And if you'd like to dig deeper on any of these topics, we have specialized playlists on our Spotify profile, and the link is in the show notes. Topics like teens, depression, and OCD. Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Robin.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.